It's very simple camera movements, but crazy tricks with the cars. I first started working with Ken back in 2011 on the set of Gymkhana 4. I've met him before that. I actually raced him at our local Gymkhana event at El Toro Air Force Base. And I remember very specifically, I lined up with him, and there's a video of this, in my 1970 240Z, 143 wheel horsepower. And I look over, and there's Ken in his Gymkhana 1 Crawford Performance Hawkeye, crazy Subaru STI. And he didn't even have a bumper on it. But I thought to myself, man, I gotta tree this guy. As soon as the light started moving and as soon as I saw the yellow, I just dumped my clutch. But man, my car was so slow compared to his. So when he left at green, he still beat me to the first corner. So I've always known about Ken, and I've always at that time followed his work even before YouTube was really a big thing. So when I finally had a chance to work with him on the set of Gymkhana 4, first thing he said to me, he asked me just in casual conversation, do you watch our videos? Do you follow our work? And I just laughed because I was thinking, this guy, he was already my idol at the time. You know, I really enjoyed the content that they did. And I just really liked that he made a car move in a way that I never seen before. When I watched Gymkhana 1, I was just so blown away. And it was such an honor to be able to work with him and his team for so many years. After Gymkhana 4, I just started doing more and more stuff with Ken. And there was a point where when he was doing WRC, I would tag along, you know, in Europe or whatever stage rally or races that he was doing. When he was doing Global Rallycross, I was following his efforts there. And it was just amazing to be able to work with somebody that really changed car culture forever. He commanded the best out of all of us. And I'm talking about everyone, from the caterer to all the still photographers that followed him, the videographers, everybody, everything. And we all pushed so hard for him. I've never pushed so hard for an individual because I wanted to just show him what was possible with car photography, with remote cameras, with all of it. Because we wanted to impress him, but we also wanted to support this thing that he had, this vision. You know, I just really appreciated the opportunity so much. Gymkhana was so unique in that when I'm out photographing 24-hour races, drifting, car culture, collections, whatever's happening is the way I'm capturing it. I'm still pushing as hard as I can to show it in its best light and show its beauty or destruction or patina, whatever. The difference between Gymkhana and all the other things that I shoot is it's shaped to be beautiful, to be extraordinary, to be something that is groundbreaking. And that's what Ken did every single time. Everything was important. Everything. He was so involved in the camera angles. He was so involved in not showing fake speed. He absolutely hated camera car. So if you notice, if you go back and watch every single Gymkhana, the camera itself didn't really move. He moved around the camera, and it was a lot of times just a camera on sticks, on tripod, and it was up to the camera person to capture the action that was happening. And there wasn't any like fake speed, anything ramped up, speeding up, or like one move that is very popular with a lot of automotive films is like jousting or weird camera angles where you're showing the ground moving fast. There's none of that. It's very simple camera movements, but crazy tricks with the cars. And we're talking about precision driving. We're talking about the most incredible locations. And I know Brian Scotto and the rest of the Hoonigan crew, including Ken, really prided themselves in being able to get these iconic locations that are everyday locations, but the shutdown, having the road to themselves, is just so crazy. It is so, it's cheating. You know, when you have something like that in terms of an iconic location, an iconic car, and an iconic driver, there's going to be gold, no matter what. But with all said and done, Ken still had to perform behind the wheel. There's so much riding on him being able to do these stunts. And a lot of people like to comment, oh, he did it over and over again until he got it right, whatever. You don't understand how much of on the edge this individual was. Not everybody can do this, and also on command. Most racing drivers are not able to do these stunts. It's very, very specialized. And one way or the other could have been injury, death, or whatever. You know, it could stop the whole production. The car could get destroyed. It could catch on fire. You know, there was so many times when we were filming a lot of these things where he would have to carry oxygen in the car in case it went into the water. He would have to unstrap, take the oxygen, and start breathing from it in case he couldn't get out of the car. And then there were always divers standing by to rescue him. Like, this kind of risk, like I said, looking from the outside, a lot of things that he does, I would have loved to try, at least. It looked like a lot of fun. A lot of the other things, I'm out. Ken always had the vision of what the shot should look like, and he really wanted perfection. It wasn't a huge championship on the line when he was doing stage rally or when he was doing rallycross. It was just to get a better shot. Big wow factor. That's what he was always after. And it really rubbed off onto all of us. What's interesting to me is I don't know if this sort of filming is going to happen ever again. I think back on so many of those times and I just can't believe how much free reign I had when shooting these things, because I almost was never where the regular angles were. And when I say regular angles, I mean camera A, B, C, D, E, F. I was not next to those filmers because I didn't want that shot. They had that shot. I wanted, in my eyes, what was the best still photo. Just one moment, not the whole thing. So I'm always climbing into buildings, making friends with people, paying people off, like, hey, let me hang out in your balcony, or climbing on roofs, or shooting through cars, or you wouldn't believe some of the places I've been. And unfortunately, that means that I end up in the film a lot of times. When I watch back all the films that I was a part of, I can spot myself in every single frame, or I can tell you where I was hiding. I have this thing with Brian Scotto where he always yells at me because there's like this Larry budget, which is the budget that they have to cut me out of the scenes. And there's this really funny scene in Gymkhana 7 when Ken is drifting around Randy's Donuts. And if you watch closely, a bird flies through the frame and then the bird disappears and then it appears again. And it's because that whole area, it was me and a couple other people. We were just hanging out there because there was nowhere else to be to get this angle. So they're like, all right, just shoot it, because you never know when it's going to be the last chance you get this shot. And it happened to be the last shot because he had this really hard transition off of the curb onto the street and it twisted the drive shaft. And they still have that drive shaft today. It's actually displayed at the Peterson Museum. But that's a perfect example of, yep, so they had to kind of like Photoshop us out, but the bird just goes beep, and it disappears and it appears again. Oftentimes when I'm on these productions, I think to myself, I know what I'm doing. I know what the camera guys are doing. I know what their camera assistants are doing. I know what the art team is doing. I know drivers, this, that, and the other. I still have no idea to this day what half of the other people are doing. It was so many people on set. Like, you couldn't believe how long it would take to do a company move from scene to scene. And it's mind-boggling because when I first stepped foot on the set of Gymkhana for Gymkhana 4, it was at the Hollywood backlot. And I just looked around. I'm like, why are there so many people here? Because I'm used to really small productions. Even now, after all these years, I'm very lucky in that I get to work with Toyota, Nissan, Ford, all of these manufacturers, and we help them launch cars. We shoot a lot of their advertisements and materials when new cars come out. I know what everyone else is doing on my sets, but these sets are so huge. And it could be sponsors, it could be friends of sponsors, it could be whatever, product placement, this, that, and the other. It was just so many people. And it was like herding cats trying to get everybody to get off set or stay behind the camera or whatever. It was the same crew pretty much, at least from Gymkhana 4 till the last one in Mexico City. Honestly, it was pretty much the same crew. It was a very tight-knit crew of director, first AD, second AD, a lot of the people on the set, art director, a lot of the camera folks. We all became good friends because over the years we just worked together all the time on all of these. It was a well-oiled machine, but it was just so crazy to see how slow it moved, but for a reason, right? Because it took so much to get to that point. And meanwhile, I'm over here just by myself with my cameras. I guess in that regard, I'm cheating. I'm just showing up. Everything's all set up for me, and Ken just does his thing and I capture it. And yeah, maybe I have the easy part. I think about it all the time, and I think it was such a good period of time for car culture. And I was just so lucky to be a part of it.
This month of VINwiki Car Stories is brought to you by Bridgestone, and the most exciting news out of Bridgestone is the brand new release of their Alenza Prestige tire. The Alenza Prestige Highway tire is for drivers who want a long-lasting, elegant, and comfortable ride without compromising at all on wet weather performance. Amazing tire that features their next generation Enlighten technology, as well as their Quiet Track technology, an in-groove feature designed to reduce tread pattern noise combined with a wide center rib that helps to deliver a whisper-quiet ride with comfortable and responsive handling. So check them out now at the link in the description below to learn more about the Alenza Prestige tires from Bridgestone and the entire Bridgestone family of products.